So United play Burnley in the Premier League, a chance to bounce back after the bitter disappointment of the Middlesbrough Cup exit. Me and Jay are here to take you through everything for the preview.
Jay here for Stretford, Paddock. That's Joe Smith. This is the Burnley preview. And as you said earlier on, we're bouncing back, hopefully, from another disappointing result. Yeah. Manchester United out of the FA Cup. Didn't want to win it anyway. Load of rubbish. Didn't even enter it in 2000. That's how much that matters to us. But we're back in the Premier League and we need a win, basically, don't we? Because we're playing a team that are bottom of the Premier League, last time I checked. A team that we beat comfortably last time we played them at Old Trafford as well. It's probably one of our better performances under Ralph Rangnick. And also, as we've mentioned, we need to put that Middlesbrough debacle behind us, because regardless of the performance, that's another story we'll get into in a minute. Yeah. Getting knocked out of what is realistically our best chance of silverware was a bit of disappointment.
It's horrendous. And it's one of those things where I don't know how to feel after that game. Because I watched the game and we were saying before, you play that game 99 times, you run the simulation on that game, those chances, I hate the old XG shit, but their expected goals was 1 point something. And that was because they had a tap-in from a yard out, which shouldn't have been allowed, because the bloke handballed it before he passed it to him. So if you take that, even if you don't take that away, United would still have won that game 9 times out of 10. If you take that away, they can't win. They had 2 shots on target. One was stifled by Dean Henderson's shins at point-blank range, and the other was after a handball. It's almost impossible for them to win that game. Yeah. So you watch it and you think, well, you know what? The performances are getting better. At the start of Rangnick's reign, the performances weren't great, but the results were good. Yeah. And then now, the performance was arguably as good as it's been. I know, obviously, it's the sort of lowest opposition we've had, but the performance, excellent. Loads of chances, penalties, hitting the crossbar, open nets, carving them open. Barely conceded anything. And yet, this season, other than a tricky tie against Atletico Madrid, is over. So it's it's such a horrible position to be in, where you go, I can't be that mad, because they did very well, and that's more than we can say for most of this season. But what is this season now? Trying to get in the Champions League and trying to win the Champions League. 2 things that are pretty tricky. Like you said, that was the best chance of winning a trophy and a silverware. And now we've got the Burnley game, and it's sort of putting together a run to try and get that top 4 spot. Tottenham won it, Arsenal won it, West Ham won it, United won it. But it's just so disappointing. The one thing you can say is, well, the performance was pretty good, so if we have another performance like that, we'll probably beat Burnley. But it's hard not to feel dejected and just almost embarrassed. You think, and also you got to look around the rest of Chelsea struggled. Leicester got knocked out. City struggled. Liverpool didn't struggle, but it took a minute. West Ham struggled. Yeah. A lot of big teams struggled, but they overcame it. Yeah. Except Leicester, they all overcame it, and you just think United had to overcome that, and now we've got to bounce back and mentally, as much as anything, push on again against Burnley, who are difficult to beat, even though they're struggling in the league. It's a hard one. It's a horrible. You were at the game. How was it?
No, I wasn't. I was at a zombie apocalypse.
Forgot about that.
So I
forgot about that, Jay.
And you can make your own joke about it instead of watching a bunch of clueless people running around dribbling. I was at a zombie apocalypse. But no, I watched it on my phone because we were at this drive-through thing.
Zombie apocalypse.
I know, it was a thing I'd already signed up for ages ago, thinking there won't be a game on Friday night. So I had to watch it on my phone, and by the end I was looking like a zombie, because after penalties I was raging, because I love the FA Cup. I was joking before, obviously. It's a competition I've got so many good memories of. It was our best chance of silverware, and to go out in the manner we did was so annoying and frustrating. But I want to try and look at the positives from Friday evening's game, and one positive I would say was Jadon Sancho. Yeah, he's a player that hasn't had the easiest start to his Manchester United career. Should we be frank about it? Struggled. I think we heard he struggled with the pace of the Premier League. He struggled with a calf injury. I think he had an illness as well, which people can be a little bit, I don't mean, United fans, but the press or whatever, can be a little bit unforgiving if you're not 100% fit. You just look at his goal, he cost 73 million quid, he's not done anything yet. We have seen glimpses, but I felt like against Middlesbrough, we began to see the player that we wanted to sign, the player that we saw at Dortmund, the player we know Jadon Sancho is capable of being, albeit against championship opposition, but you can only beat what is in front of you. Scored a goal.
Oh, we didn't beat him.
Yeah, in terms of him though, he scored a goal. You know, he was very, very lively. It looked like he was fitting in nicely alongside Pogba and Rashford and Bruno and everyone else. Do you think now is a time when we can see Jadon Sancho begin to kick on? Because we've seen, like I said, glimpses. We just haven't seen a consistent run of games for him for starters, let alone a run of performances.
I think the run of games will be there. And, you know, some of that is due to the fact that he's back from these different setbacks that you've seen. He also had the, you know, family bereavement as well, obviously, which, you know, left him out of the squad for a few games, which is understandable. And also we do have we've lost some players in key areas, some on loan, some for other reasons that obviously, you know, puts him basically at the top of the list in terms of playing every week. And I think he needs that. I think that consistency of when everyone's fit, you start. He hasn't had that so far.
No.
And I think that's a big thing, a mental thing, especially for a new transfer and someone who's moving country. I know it's sort of almost weird to say he's moved country because he's coming back to England where he's from and where he grew up and, you know, what he knows. But he has had a big sort of life change over the last sort of 2 or 3 years.
Yep.
You know, going over to Dortmund, coming back, you know, from Dortmund. So it's something that I think a new player to a country or a new player to a club needs consistency and need to feel like they really like me here. The fans like me. The manager likes me. They, you know, they spent a lot of money on me. And if he's thinking, am I wasting money? Have I been shit? Like, I think the game against Middlesbrough was much better. I think actually most of the games recently he's played have been better. Yeah. But he's not always getting the numbers and the assists and goals to back it up. But I think we control the game much better when he's playing. He's so much less wasteful than other players we have in those positions, sometimes to a fault where you think, take more risks.
Yeah.
But he keeps the ball really well. And especially when you look earlier in the season where we're just recycling possession like no one's business, giving the ball away, allowing attacks, giving the ball away, allowing attacks. He allows you to keep the ball much better, and he's obviously got such a good eye for passing and creating. I think he will be brilliant on that side, and especially if Rashford can get his form back and Ronaldo as well, who's been, you know, pretty poor recently. But I'm not worried about Jadon Sancho. I think you see all the things he can do, and I think he's going to come good at some point, and I'm glad it's starting already.
Definitely. He's a crowd-pleasing sort of player as well, Jadon Sancho. When he's on it, he gets everyone going. He's a sort of player that you want to see at Old Trafford. Someone who's got that bit about him, can beat players, can score goals, just a creative player. And I'm not too worried about the start he's had because there have been mitigating circumstances that people often just tend to ignore. And like you say, he's come back to England. He never kicked a ball in the Premier League before this season. So it's not like he was at City and he played every game in the Premier League for 2 seasons. So this is very new to him and he's adapting. And I think he's finally beginning to adapt well.
And also, if he'd have come into, let's say, like a Ferguson team, if he'd have come into a league champions, or let's say just he went to City or whatever, he would have looked so much better than coming into a team that was basically falling apart this season. No. You know, we sacked Solskjaer. You know, the results were awful, not his fault. But how can you stand out and shine in a team that is losing most weeks and struggling to create chances because everyone's head's gone? It's not a good environment for him to come in and, you know, just continue that success, is it? So I think if he'd have come into a more flourishing team, he would have flourished a lot more as well. Right then, a quick word from today's sponsor, Jay, Profit Accumulators. You can see it there, it's Profit Accumulators, Jay. I know you're thinking, what is Profit Accumulators? It is a website that teaches people how to make money using something called matched betting. What's match betting, Jay?
Well, as you know, right, the betting industry, competitiveness is fierce, and bookmakers their offers are just getting crazier and crazier as they try to get you to sign up by offering just better offers, and that's where match betting can come in. Now, Profit Accumulators, dedicated team, they've got a team that's completely dedicated.
So they're so dedicated.
Looks at these offers and they present them to you, and they help you use those offers against each other so you can make the most money. Hence, Profit Accumulators.
Perfect. They've had over 150,000 customers to date, so make sure you check them out. You can also earn up to 45 quid with no card details required. Check the link in the description if you are trying to make a little bit extra. It's a no-brainer, Jay. Absolute no-brainer.
That's the way we like it.
Check out the link in the description.
Completely agree with that. With that in mind, give us your predicted 11.
I've not picked him. No, I have really. So I've got David De Gea, Dalot, Varane, Maguire and Shaw. It could be Tellez on that side.
Yeah.
But I thought, weirdly, because I don't think he was very good, actually, Luke Shaw against Middlesbrough. He was very wasteful. But I don't think it was one of his worst games this season. Like, he wasn't sort of like aggressively bad and out of position like he has been.
The thing with Luke Shaw is his worst games this season have been
some of the worst games I've ever seen
from anyone.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds melodramatic, but it's true.
Well, like you said, like you always say, against Liverpool, he just wasn't a left back. He just was like on a lead, strapped to Harry Maguire, going, "What do I do?" And Maguire was going, "I don't know either." Yeah. But so he was annoying sometimes when we're trying to get a goal and he's just kicking the ball, trying to cross it from just inside their half. Like, look, get in a good position first. Like, put some work into, overlap or to get in behind. But, that could go either way, that one. I've gone for McTominay, Fred, and Bruno. I don't know if I see Pogba starting 2 games in 4 days when he's been out for 3 months. I think he's obviously a good option off the bench. Or he could start and come off after 60, but I think Fred will come back in. The one thing I was thinking is sometimes Rangnick does seem to like to stack the midfield out with bigger players against bigger, more physical teams. Okay. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Matic in there and McTominay push further up and maybe leave Fred out just because he doesn't have that aerial ability, really. Fred does he? So, but other than that, I think Bruno has to start. And to be honest, I think McTominay has to start. I don't think he's been world class, but I think he's been good to very good.
I mean, against Burnley, he was outstanding for that first hour.
Yeah, exactly.
He was, I was doing Brian Robson memes and all that because that's how, I was joking, but that's how good he was.
Yeah.
He was, it was a very, very good performance. There's no disputing that. So maybe, this is a team that suits him.
And I think, I would say he has been our most improved player under Rangnick. Just because a lot of those players, maybe you could say Dallo, but was he improved? He wasn't playing before. Of the players that were playing under Solskjaer and are still playing under Rangnick, I think he's gone up the most.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because I think he was quite poor for
the
Solskjaer.
Others haven't, Elanga wasn't really playing.
No, and Ronaldo's not got any better. Rashford is still hit and miss. Maybe Fernandes is another one you could put in there. I think he's got better as well. But I think, like you said, and I agree with you, I think the first sort of 15 games this season, McTominay was pretty poor. Yeah. And I think for the last 10 or however, I don't know the exact numbers, but the last 10 or so since Rangnick came in, I think he's been good to pretty good,
It takes a lot to sort of lose a lot of the crowd, and I think McTominay was losing the crowd. From what I've seen where I'm in the Stretford end, I noticed he was getting a lot of stick. People were getting fed up with him. And, he's quite a popular player usually. Earlier on in this season, I think he's been able to turn that around now with some of the performances we've seen. I mean, obviously, I'm not surveyed everyone in Old Trafford, just where I'm standing. I noticed he was getting a bit of stick. Yeah. We'll move on to my team, not that dissimilar. You can see there, I think I've got Tellers at left back, Below at right back. I've gone with McTominay in the sort of holding midfield role. I agree with you on the Pogba front about I don't know if he can play a full 90, but for me, play your strongest team from the off and get a couple of goals hopefully, and then take him off rather than chasing it or bringing him on to try and win us game. Also, I thought if it matters, he scored a good goal against Burnley, didn't he, last season? Maybe that's sort of something that might play on Ralph Rangnick's mind. Again, we've spoken about Jadon Sancho, Anthony Elanga. I go with him over Marcus. I still feel like Marcus isn't quite there yet. Also, Elanga, I think it's important after the penalty miss just to get him back in the team. Get out your mind, lad. Yeah. You're back in the team. No one's blaming you. Just show us what you're about. Rather than, I know it wouldn't be the case if he was dropped, but he might be getting into his head like a little bit. I was in the team now. I've missed the penalty. Do you know what I mean? Just get him in there. And Ronnie, I think Ronnie's gonna start in here. Even when we can debate another time whether he should or not, but he will. Because I just don't see Ralph Rangnick.
I don't even know if Cavani's fit still. Yeah. Who else have we got?
And also,
we've got 2 strikers. One of them's never fit.
I think Ralph Rangnick needs a fallout with Cristiano Ronaldo right now, like he needs a gunshot wound to the head.
Yeah, exactly.
He's not going to get involved in any of that.
No.
We'll move on to Burnley.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know loads about Burnley other than they've not been very good this season.
No.
They are managed
uncharacteristically.
Everyone's waiting, aren't they, for them to kick on the Sean Dyche factor to start, and they'll get themselves out of trouble. But they need to start doing it sooner rather than later, and obviously, hopefully, it is later. We don't want them to start picking up points against us. You can see there from the graphic the last 5 games.
Awful.
Terrible. The draw against Watford, I was on a podcast the other day with someone who watched that, and they said it was the worst game of football they've ever witnessed. They said genuinely, that's not an exaggeration. People say that, it was the worst game. But they said, I'm not lying, it was, because they had to watch it for work. They said it was just awful. Yeah. And it was a game that they really should have or needed to win because it's against the relegation rival.
A 6-pointer, as
they say, 6-pointer, and they just didn't.
Still just 3, though.
I mean, I don't know a lot about the Burnley players and who to watch. There's a new kid who's called Weghorst. And I might jinx myself here, but it strikes me as that's the type of player that I would hope someone like Maguire, for example, can handle.
Perhaps. Although he's like Maguire. He's the Maguire to what normal strikers are.
Right.
Like, he's bigger than Maguire. I don't know. To be fair, I think I agree with you.
Yeah.
Maguire should be able to deal with him.
Yeah.
But he's decent.
Yeah.
And he averages 20 plus goals over the last 4 or 5 years. Like, he's a prolific striker. I say prolific. He's not, Batistuta. But he's getting 18, 20, 25, 27. Like, he's a goal scorer. And he's one of those players that doesn't get involved in build-up much. He's very much a target man, big man, as you expect Burnley to have. He's a very Burnley player.
Yeah.
But he's scored a lot of goals in the last few years. But you would hope the speed and the class of Varane and the aerial ability of Varane as well, but of Maguire especially, those balls coming up, just elbow in the back, winning
This
those
is what
headers.
the reason I say like Maguire. Maguire's tall anyway.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's towering over him.
No.
And also Maguire's got that experience. He's got that sort of. You'd expect him to be up for this one.
This is the sort of one where I wouldn't want to see Lindelof with him.
No, I feel
these are the sorts of games where Lindelof can struggle.
And again, come 90 minutes against Burnley, the 90th minute, you can all be clipping this up and ramming it down my throat when he bangs in his fifth.
Yeah,
of
he
the
pushes
evening.
Maguire over.
Pushes Maguire over, to pick up his match ball.
Yeah.
With everything we've talked about in mind, my
Yeah.
friend, give us your score prediction, because me and you were both on the ball against Middlesbrough. Let's see if we can recreate how accurate we were there.
I think United will win. I think the performance was good against Middlesbrough.
Yeah.
The result was damaging to everyone's mind that is a Manchester United fan, because at some point, because the thing is, I know this, we've already talked about this, but when it's the league, sometimes you can go, well, we lost, but the result means that if we keep playing like this, we'll finish top four.
Yeah.
In the cup, all that matters is the result.
That's it.
So I'm trying to clutch the performance angle from a cup match, which doesn't matter about the performance. But assuming that things are moving in the right direction, they seem to be getting more of a grasp on Rangnick's style. We are conceding less chances. If they can keep Weghorst quiet, I think United will win. I'm hopeful for a clean sheet. I'm going to go 2-0 Manchester United.
So you took my result off me, because I was going to go 2-0. And last time I followed you in results, well, enough said.
Last time I followed me in results, you were watching the game on a phone whilst being attacked by a pretend zombie, weren't you, Jay?
I was doing more shouting at the zombies than they were doing at me. I was angry. That's a fucking handball.
One of these zombies is taking their makeup off. No,
I was grabbing him. Have you seen that? How's that not an handball? Hey, look at that. You're telling me that's not an handball. Right, I'm going to go 1-0 Manchester United.
Good.
I'm going to go Paul Labille Pogba to recreate his Turf Moor form and get us a winner. Get involved in the comments in the chat. Let us know whether you agree with Joe, myself, any of us, neither of us. Let us know what you think the scoreline will be and or your predicted 11 as well. We want to hear from you guys. We will be here with the watch-along.
Yes, me.
So,
and you.
Me
on
and
the
you
watch-along.
with a mystery guest.
Yeah.
So make sure you check it out. If you're not doing...
Banksy.
Banks, yes. Subscribe to the channel. We want to get 700,000 subscribers by the end of the season. With your help, we can do it. And also, the merchandise store, if I can get my words out, is back open. So go and check out the merch. We've got some great new t-shirts and hoodies and all that jazz on there.
Paddockmerch.com.
Paddockmerch.com. You can go and find Joe Smith. Joe Smith 93. Yep. He likes to have his IQ in his Twitter handle.
Yeah, and it's at J Motti. He likes to have... Actually, I can't say that. Finish.
This has been the Burnley preview. Thanks for watching.